Hi, welcome back to the Mother You Know, the Woman You Don't. Thank you for joining us again this week. We are so grateful to everybody who comes back to this little disaster week after week after week. I think at some point we got to stop saying that it's not too bad. Like we're a solid 7 at best,
That's right.
for sure. We are just grateful for everybody that comes back. This week, it's just me and Mom hanging out. Lydia, I think we had a guest scheduled, but we had to reschedule her, and Lydia's not feeling well, so it's just me and Mom. And Lydia was worried about what we were gonna talk about, so I told her we were just gonna talk bad about her the whole time, which not on camera anyway. I know this week for me, so it's been a busy couple of weeks. I think we've all had a lot going on. I think for us, we've just feels like we've been running around every week. The rodeo's in town. We've been out of town with friends and back and forth. We're definitely enjoying the weather, enjoying this nice weather. You know, we get about 14 days here in Texas. If you don't know our weather, you have about a 2-week span in the spring, which isn't great because the pollen's trying to kill you currently, but you're not sweating and you're not dying and you can open a window, you can put your air up on 70. Like there's a 2-week period. So you have to work 10 of those days in that 2 weeks. You have basically 2 weekends, 4 days where we spend, everybody's outside, everybody's on the roads, you're just running around. Our festivals and stuff aren't happening, but so I think we've just been
don't
running
forget
around.
Spring break too.
Yeah, spring break happened last week. So it's just been endless just stuff going on the last couple of weeks. So I know for me, I have some rather not disturbing news. Like it was fine for me. Apparently I put my husband out with this news, found out this week that I am essentially a carb loving, meat eating woman, not a salad eating girl, clearly. Found out that I am gluten intolerant. So not only am I perimenopausal, which I'm getting those symptoms, like I've been working with the doctor and getting those symptoms like even killed. So I feel much better after last year. But to my husband's chagrin, which Mom, I swear to you, the look on his face when I showed him the text from the doctor.
Oh, I know that.
Act like I went out and chose gluten intolerance off a shelf and paid way too much money for it. He just literally, the look on his face was like, bro, I didn't choose this life. My body has decided it hates wheat, flour, barley, whatever. So we are having to, as the doctor said, definitely cut that out of your diet. So that's been new the last couple of days, and it's actually been fine. But today I was craving carbs. I was craving a piece of bread today. I don't know if it's just the mood or if it's what it is.
When someone tells you can't have it, that's when you want it the worst.
No,
I
know.
Yeah.
Our favorite thing around here is pasta because it's quick and easy. I learned to make pasta last year.
You sure did.
I have now got to refigure how to make that with gluten-free flour, which just doesn't feel like it's the same. I don't feel like there's Italian grandmas out there keeling over that I'm gluten-free pasta, or maybe the pasta, the semolina pasta or whatever you're supposed to be using is probably less processed. So we'll see how this all turns out. I imagine I won't die. I'm not gluten intolerant. I mean, gluten allergic, or I definitely overdiagnosed myself with all the diseases that I found on WebMD that I was sure I had. But other than that,
you're not actually dying now?
Yeah, I'm not actually dying of, I really had to self-diagnose myself with celiac disease and something else. There was 2, and I was like, that's it. That's what I have. Turns out I'm just intolerant. So we'll be trying to figure that out. So happy to take any requests for, I was thinking, oh God, now I need an app that tells me where I can eat and what I can eat because I don't have time to figure out what has gluten in it, what doesn't, and I can't figure this out. But anyway, so taking any recommendations for gluten-free recipes, restaurants, best snacks, whatever, if anybody out there is dealing with that. But other than that, it's been a nice couple of weeks, just busy and just running around. I mean, just hanging out. I know for you tried something new this week, ma'am, or last week. You did your first TikTok.
Look.
Solo
Yes,
TikTok.
I did. Yes, it took about 30 takes. Delete. No, that's not going to work. Delete. So finally, I was getting ready because I'd shared my heart a half a dozen times, and
to where it doesn't feel ready for genuine anymore, right?
No, it's not. It wasn't just free flowing.
Yeah.
So I just was, I'm gonna do this, and so I got ready for my Bible study, and I thought, I got time, and so I did. So I'll keep working on that.
You made your first video.
I did.
And I love that you did it in your greenhouse. So I think the premise behind her starting this was that, according to the TikTok hell algorithm or whatever, we should be posting close to social media rules or wherever this comes from, whoever made this up. You should be posting 3 times a day. And it's like, I cannot post 3 times a day. I don't like seeing myself that much. I don't have that much to say. We all work full-time jobs. Like we commute. It's not enough time in the day.
Well, some people do anyway.
Well, I know, but
yeah,
I'm just saying it feels a lot. So my bright idea is we should all post something once a day, and there's 3 of us, so that should cover the 3 times a day. Of course, Lydia does it more than we do. Periodically, I very rarely do it, and you never do it, but you did your first one, and it was really good. Yes. So it come from just us saying, we need you to just post something. You went out of your greenhouse and shared your plants and shared yourself.
I did.
Things. So that was very brave.
It was brave.
Very brave.
Yes.
Why do you think that some people have that ability to be in front of it? Because I do have fun with it, but I have fun with it. Like my TikTok is real sporadic. It seems to show up at Christmas time because that's my time of year. And that's when we're usually doing the most stuff. But the rest of the year, I don't usually do anything.
Well, I think you had new things to do this year. You started hunting.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's this year I had a little bit more to share, but it was like really specific. Yeah. So what do you think that is that makes people, I wonder what makes people able to share and some not? Because I feel comfortable the ones I've done, but it's like, I'm not doing it 3 times a day.
Lydia's really good at it. Lydia's good at it because she has things to say and she has things to do. And and so do you. And I'm just set in my ways.
Yeah.
So the thing about the greenhouse is if the winter hadn't come along and ripped up my greenhouse, because we got strong winds up here. We had just lots of storms and strong winds. And we even had a tornado come through a week or so ago. It just hit and miss some of the woods and some of the houses out in here. So, and because I've been challenged to do new stuff and get busy doing those things that I've wanted to do and just haven't, then I'm using that as the encouragement to get things done. Yeah. And so, I think it can be comical. Yeah.
Well, it cracks me up because
start to really get busy on things.
Yeah. All 3 of us are very good at, I think we're all really hard workers. We're not lazy. Yes. It's not laziness, but and I'm just thinking sitting here thinking specifically towards the podcast, it's not lazy. And we do this every week and we're disciplined about getting them posted and things like that. Now I'm not great. I was late last week, but for the most part, we're doing good about getting them up and getting them posted. It's the social media part that's strange. It just doesn't feel like, this doesn't feel natural. And I don't know if it's because we're, I think you and I have probably more a camera aversion. Maybe it's seeing myself.
Yeah.
On camera. I don't know what it is because it was my idea to do 3 times or once a day.
Yes, you did.
Guess who has yet to pick up that phone and do it once a day? This guy.
Well,
and it's not, it's not lazy.
I think we're not people that want to say, look at me, look at me. Look at me. Yeah. Look at me. Yeah. I don't really, I'm not shy. I'm not insecure, I don't think.
Yeah.
It's just hard to say, look at me.
Look at me.
Yeah.
Look at me.
We have something to say. I feel like we have something to say. We have something to give. We have something to share.
Yeah. I definitely felt called to do this. I told you it was probably a year or 2-year process of me thinking about doing this, and you feel like you're being called and feel like you're being called and pushed and pushed and pushed. I really do feel like it was something God was pushing and pushing and pushing, or just presenting. I don't know if he's pushing, but he was just saying, or I was feeling that forever. But then it's like all this stuff. I just want to do the podcast. I don't want to do the social media, which is where I thought we were going to get.
They kind of go hand in hand, though.
I know they do.
You can't have one without the other. I don't know.
No, I don't think you can either. I don't think we can. But it has been it's been an interesting year and an interesting lessons.
Yes.
Through this whole process, everything's been, even the, just learning to talk to people again because I don't think I mean, my job requires me to talk to people, but to do it socially, other than, your girlfriends or us where we sit around and talk all the time, to do it and listen to people. I think it's more listening. My lesson's got to be the listening.
Yeah.
More so than talking. But
well, I think I listen, but I don't know that I've got the conversational skills that you and Lydia have.
Yeah.
Because y'all are out there and I'm a little isolated up here in the piney woods.
I'm telling you, we got to get you off that hill.
We got to get me off this. Got to get me out of these
that hill.
Pine trees. This Sabine National Forest.
Yeah.
And get me back into the city every once in a while.
I was like, city-esque. I don't want to get in the city.
Well, last week we were back in Houston, in Bel Air for doctor appointments, and we had our fill. 2 days, and the Houston traffic was like, now, get me back to the piney woods.
Oh, listen, Dwayne drove to the rodeo on...
Oh, did he?
What day did we go? We went one day, and he dropped me at work and at 7. So he was up early and not even in traffic. Okay, we leave at our house at 5:30, so I can get to work at 7. And he was going on to Reliant to see Heidi and them show because she was showing her animals this week. It's the livestock show, the rodeo and livestock show's going on. And he nearly shut down, like just trying to drive at 5:30 in the he don't leave Dayton anymore. He used to go down there every day. But now
every day, I started saying he worked down there for years and years and years.
He used to drive when he did his process serving business, drive all over town. And Houston, Pasadena, all over, just all day long. And now it's like he's got that little town thing where he's like, where are these cars? I was like, same cars I've been driving for 20.
They've always been here.
Yeah.
So, yes.
This was what
that happens. Yeah.
Same construction that was there when you quit.
Yeah. Yeah, I had to remind myself, you have done this all your life, Sylvia. Houston is nothing new. You've done it. But then there's that angst about, I got to get that traffic. And I just had to remind myself, you know what to do. You know how to go in and out of that traffic. Because you've done it all your life. I just have to remind myself that. If I start getting anxious about it, I have to remember, this is nothing new to you.
Yeah.
So, but when you've removed yourself out of it, for an extended period of time. And that's funny to me to hear Dwayne.
Oh yeah, it's strange. He just hates it. He could not wait to get it. And we usually go to the rodeo maybe 3 times every year. We typically go and then go for the livestock show, go for a sale, go to the show or whatever. And we went that one time and he was like, don't ask me to go again. He's not going.
Really?
We usually go with Tammy and Greg, and even we had lunch with them this week. And I told Greg, I go, I guess if you get rodeo tickets, he goes, I already got offered. I ain't going down there because I don't want to do it anymore. Okay, good. Get your brother already said we weren't going. So he was done. I may go Friday because Heidi's made the sale with her pig, so we're proud of her for that. But so I may go down there and go to the sale to see that sometime on Friday. But I will not. I'll tell you what I will not do going down there. I will not take an Uber because that's what I did the other day when he was there. I went down there later in the afternoon after I worked, took an Uber over there. No, ma'am.
Now, why? I would think that would...
Well, because we didn't want
you could relax and just ride.
No, my man was not scared to drive in traffic. He was not scared to cut people off. He was not scared to gun it. I was white knuckling that backseat. It was not good. So he finally dropped me off. And I was like, you know what? This is close enough. I'll walk from here. He got me close to Reliant. I don't even care how that right. My man was not scared of Houston traffic. He did not play. Now he got me there.
Wow.
It was fine, but I white knuckled it. So I guess, Mom, why don't you? We were talking about since we kind of had to record this episode on the fly about some of the things that we were going to talk about tonight. And besides our updates, we kind of landed on talking about unexpected lessons. And I told you before we started, it's like, I really can't think of anything because from a mother-daughter this way, I mean, I've learned good lessons. Still my favorite is, when people show you who they are, believe them. And
there you go.
Took me a long time. I feel like it took me a long time to learn that. But now I'm like I told you, my new living in peace thing that I'm trying is I've turned 50. When people show you, you just go, okay, I got you. And you can move on with your life. Like there's no need for drama. So for me, I don't know if that was an unexpected. I guess I never thought about it until more so in the last couple of years where it's like, all these things that I get freaked out about or upset about or worried about or stressed about other people. It's like, wait, they showed me 100 times who
True.
they are. All I have to do is believe them and then just go on about my business.
Yeah.
I don't have to buy into it. I don't have
You do
to
not.
waller in it. I don't have to be angry about it. You just go, oh, that was a red flag.
Yeah.
Okay, I get you. And
Well,
move on.
I think it's when we know God's grace for us, because He has love and patience and all that, that I can give you grace, but I'm not going to give you space. Does that make sense at all?
That's
that I'm not giving
lesson.
you space to bring your drama into my life, and all. I'll pray for you,
Yeah, over there.
And if you want advice, I can give you advice, but I'm not gonna let you. I'll give you grace, but not space.
Yeah.
In my life.
Put that on a t-shirt.
Unless you want to hear sound advice and scriptural truth, then God bless you. And also,
yeah. So I think for me that's a huge. I just carry that with me. Like I just tuck it in my little pocket every day.
Yeah.
Just am trying to roll through life as with that lesson. So I don't know if it's an unexpected lesson, but I guess I didn't, when we were thinking about these topics, it didn't dawn on me, because you said that you have a couple of lessons that you feel like you've learned from us, which I guess I wasn't expecting you to have. I guess I didn't feel like I had anything to teach you, old wise one.
You have taken things and run with them. You, in your job, and as you grew as a mother, you have amazed me as a mother. And I would like to think that maybe it come from me. I feel like it come from Grandma Connie and Grandma Chapman.
Yeah.
But your kids are amazing. So that comes from a mother who is amazing. And then, you turned out to be a really good housekeeper, which I'm thinking, look, that was one of the things that I worried about.
And that's why bunnies.
I was I
got some dust bunnies right here, and probably some stuff there's probably a dead bug over there, like right there. Probably a dead carcass.
Well, only because you're telling us about those, but I just am so happy that you're not.
I like an organized house. I don't like a clean. I mean, I like a clean house. I just don't want to do it.
Well, we all live like that. But I don't know that when I look back and how I was trying to raise y'all.
I was saying something else. I mopped my bathroom floor and put the mop bucket right outside the store. It's still sitting there from Sunday. I just thought, as I walked past here,
clean.
I need to throw that. Yeah.
So I don't know that it's unexpected. I'm just grateful that I did a well enough job that, like my mother said, my house is clean enough to be healthy and dirty enough to be happy. So that's a wall plaque. So that makes me happy. But just how you've learned that life is just, you can be happy in life. I feel like you lived up to your name. Okay. That you care about people, that you do things for people, and you've always done that. So I don't know that was unexpected, but I'm just glad it's, I could die today a happy woman, knowing I'm leaving behind responsible, wonderful people. And so learn to have conversations. I feel like if we cover the subject of things you wish you'd done better as a parent, I'll go over those. Just unexpected lessons I've learned from my children, and to be courageous enough to do things. Yeah. And this podcast is just one of those things to me, that it was a great idea, but you were just courageous enough to do it.
Actually, Lydia was courageous. I just went along with it.
She was.
Because I just had it in my melon. I wasn't actually going to do anything with it.
Yeah, because she knew the logistics. There's no doubt about that. And that's something that amazes me about her too. Yeah. Is that she actually knew how to do this and did it and just jumped out there. I mean, it's taken me this long just to pull the trigger on making a video,
That took 32 takes.
Yeah. That's unexpected and all. So I'm still working towards that, at that. And there's things that I'm still going to pull the trigger on. I'll let you know when that happens.
Yeah.
So, and the thing with Lydia is, and this is my other daughter, that she just decides something and she does it. She's in the middle of doing something that I thought in all my life I would never have been brave enough to do it. Yeah. So even when there's risk involved, it's what she wants, is what her heart desires, and she's going to work hard to get it. And y'all have always done that. I was happy to land a job that I liked. And it never dawned on me that there was something else I could do, you know, and there were things that I would have been interested in, but I just landed there and stayed there. For heaven's sakes, y'all graduated from my own high school.
Yeah.
So I didn't leave the neighborhood, you know, where I graduated from, where I grew up from. So when we did move away to the piney woods, then that was hard to do.
Yeah.
It really was.
That felt hard for me too, was y'all leaving. Because I think at the time it felt like our lives were still very intertwined in the same neighborhood. I mean, I had moved to Humble, but that's literally just up the road from where I lived, and y'all were still there, and our church was still there, and our, you know, so I think when y'all moved, that felt big. And I told you it was about the same time, shortly after that, the girls left, you know, both moved out.
Yes.
You know, that felt like betrayal to me.
Yes.
You moved, they moved.
Yeah, I thought
Why
so
does
too.
everybody hate me?
Yeah, it could be that, but it was just that thing that we had planned to do. We bought, you know, up here at the lake, and Daddy retired. And so we owned this property. We have no, you know, we didn't have the living expenses. We didn't have the taxes. We didn't have the insurance. We didn't have, you know, so for him to retire and on his retirement salary, then that was the plan for 20 years.
Yeah.
And so when we did it, it was like, that feels abandoned.
Yeah.
Abandoning my children and my grandchildren at that time. But it's what...
For the record, it felt like that on this end too.
Okay.
That was my own. But I said that to say that it feels different because, like, you know, even Mariah picking up and moving to Denver, you want to talk about like if you never moved and I only moved to Humble, she grew that thing in her that was like, hey, he's leaving the state, you know.
I told her she couldn't.
I know.
She just... Didn't we tell her no?
Yeah, I didn't tell her no, but
I
did. The thing is that she didn't give me the opportunity to tell her no. She told me like on a Thursday she was leaving the following week, so there was something I could do. But which was, you know, intentional and probably well deserved. I earned it. Yeah. That's fine. But I'm saying that to say that that there's something about that lesson of bravery and stepping up.
Yes.
Since she's made that move and I feel like, okay, I survived that, which to me, that's like the ultimate, like to even, because when she told me she was moving to Denver, she came to have lunch with me and she sat down and she told me we were standing in line for the food thing. And I literally turned around and I said, can we table this for just a second? Because the voice in my head is screaming, holy crap, my grandchildren are going to be in another state. Now, she's not married. She wasn't interested in having kids right away. And I had already moved imaginary grandkids out of state, like already, like in that 2 seconds. So I said that to say that it now feels less detrimental and it's impressive. You know, it's impressive that somebody can just be that brave. So I guess that's a lesson, you know, I think I learned from her, but in her doing that, it made me feel more brave to do some of this other stuff. And it's just even as simple as Dwayne saying he wouldn't mind living, you know, somewhere else. Then I was all of a sudden like, oh, we can do that. Yes. You know, let's think about that. Let's think on that. Let's, you know, instead of being so stuck on this is the way it's always been, this is the way we've always done it, we should just continue to do it this way.
And it don't.
So I guess that's you know, an unexpected lesson from you guys too, learning that from you, but learning that too from the kids, you know. And even Riri, you know, changing careers now.
She did. That was a brave.
I think that's, I just think that is incredibly brave to just go, this is what I want and go do it. So I think I've been inspired by them too, mostly to just go, okay, well, we can do this. We can put out a podcast. It may not get anybody listening, but we're doing it. You know,
we have listeners. Or we can,
you know, you know, try new things at work. You know, I think at work, it's always like, do you want to, you know, can you do this? Sure, I'll learn how to code a website or, you know,
yeah.
You know, I think that's always been a general attitude with me, but a little more low key, you know, as long as nobody notices that I'm learning something new. So I think this is definitely for me too, an unexpected kind of lesson from you and from the kids.
I feel like I've learned that from you because I've seen you go, I don't know how to do it, but I know how to find out how to do it, you know.
Yeah.
And
PhD in Google, baby.
YouTube tutorials, you know, so.
I could change a thing in my car.
Sure. That's true. So,
Yeah.
I'm going to redesign my greenhouse. I know
Yeah.
what I want. We got ladies that want to take a trip. I'm thinking, okay,
Yeah.
let's have a trip. Let's have a
Yeah.
retreat. Let's go do something. So go take painting lessons or, something like that. So it's seeing how my grandkids have just went out and do it.
Is incredibly, so far out of our wheelhouse, I think.
Yes.
But it also feeling like, well, we're not dead yet. There's still so much we
Yes.
can do, from here on out. We don't have to be scared to learn new things, to try new things. So what other lessons did you have on your list?
Just how brave I think y'all are and how you decide and just go do it. It takes me months to pull the trigger on anything, I want to do that. And we have so many choices. And one of the things that I have just had that I'm just not going to complain about getting old anymore. I've just been saying, just get old. My fasciitis in my feet, my knees, and blah, blah, blah. I am not doing that anymore. I'm just not going to do that. And I'm going to decide, who did I tell the other day? I said, me and Daddy's going to live to 90.
Yeah.
And we are. We're just going to live as if we are, instead of going, God, I'm 72 now. And I'm just slowing down and whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I've always said I want to die. I want it to be a shock to y'all that I'm dead. Not that y'all watched me die for 6 years, or, woe to me. But Dwayne's been saying that lately. Dwayne's been saying, I'm not going to just lay down and die.
Yeah.
Like he's got, and I'm not going to talk ill of his dad, but his dad, it felt like he retired and was on the verge of death forever. And he lived like 30 more years past his retirement.
What was his favorite
it was
saying?
Always like,
if I felt any worse, I'd be dead, or what was it?
Yeah, well, he'd always say, I hope I get to see you again. I hope I make it, know. It's like, he lived for 30 years. But, what's funny is that I think he had a lull. And then when Dwayne opened his own business, he was going with Dwayne. And that really, I think, got him out of the house. And he would drive and go and work all day with Dwayne, just be in the car with him because that job he had drove everywhere. And I think that was a second life. So I think there's something to just, if it's not this, then what's next? If it's not this job, what's the next job? If it's not this podcast, what's the next podcast? If it's not this TikTok, what's the next TikTok? It's just the being okay with what's going on in the world and using our gifts and talents to just be okay to start at any time. I sent you that podcast today.
Yes, I was fixing to say that.
As we say, and they were literally talking about new beginnings and starting over. It's called The Leader's Cut. If anybody wants to go listen to it, it's a great thing. And this one was about how to steward a new beginning, how to take a new beginning. And I told you earlier, I was like, this just completely changed my direction because I worry about, how the podcast is going to end, how we're going to get this done, how we're going to do that. And it's just like, maybe this is just here for certain lessons. And then you start something new and how God celebrates. It wants us to be creative and wants us to start new things and wants us to, it said something about that we need to just celebrate being obedient to God. And that made me feel good about starting the podcast. It's like, I really did feel like, because it just kept coming up in my brain and I'd push it down and come back up and I'd push it down and come back up. And it just has been a good experience in the sense of learning new things. I mean, if nothing else, we now know how to publish podcasts. We know how to put it on social media, not 3 times a day, but put it out there. But it's just learning, being okay to just start and be creative.
But it also talks about small beginnings.
Yes, being okay that there may be only 20 people listening this week. It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah, it's okay.
Or that it's only 30 minutes. It's only 22 minutes because we couldn't think of anything to say. We didn't have anybody to interview. But being okay and celebrating that, just celebrating the fact that it was just.
That it can begin small.
This is what we have.
And you don't know where it's going to go. It's going to take on a life of its own. Also, don't be afraid of the small beginnings because you don't know where God's going to show his favor and all. So
and I think that's what made me kind of think of like, so if this podcast doesn't work, that's okay. It's not to be devastated by it, not to be crushed by it or if it changes direction. That's the other thing is in my brain when we started this, it was like it has to be X, Y, and Z because that's how my brain works.
Yes.
I like rules. I like a set path. I don't want to have to deviate. I'm not good at winging it as per tonight, but I want to just be okay with what it is. And I think that's a huge lesson. I don't know if I learned it from you or from the kids, but
Well,
maybe God's stepping in this week.
yes.
But yeah, it's just been, I wasn't expecting to learn that today, but it has been good. And I agree with you. I think all these lessons are good, you know?
Oh, they are. And we're just setting ourselves up for more, though. So we're just open to what's the next right thing? What's the next right thing?
Yeah.
Or even, when's the last time you did something?
That's the lesson I learned from you.
Yeah. When's the last time you did something for the very first time?
Yeah.
So don't be afraid of first whatever.
Yeah. I did quote you to one of my coworkers.
Oh, really?
Today. Yeah, because we were talking about, she has a daughter that's, I think she was saying she was like maybe a little hyperactive or whatever. And she was talking about having to put organizational processes in place for her. And we were talking about, having a place to put your shoes and having a place to put your backpack and she said, I feel like I'm going to have to do that. And I said, it's always such a strange lesson because as an adult, as a 50-year-old, I'll pick something up and go, okay, where does this go? I was like, and that was my mother always telling me that when she was trying to teach us to pick this up and ask yourself, where does this go? And you just think, dear God, dumbest lesson ever. But now that I'm 50, I have to pick stuff up and physically ask myself, okay, where does this? Oh, it goes in my purse. This goes in my purse.
Yes.
Oh, I know where it's at.
And I saw this the other day that don't put something down, put it away. Yeah, put it down somewhere. Yeah. Put it where it belongs. And so look, hey, I'm having to rethink them terms too, because this is a fact with my hand up. There's been 2 days in the last couple of weeks that I left the house and did not make my bed. Holy crap. I told Daniel, we can't make the bed because we just was in a hurry. There were things going on. We were trying to get out at a certain time, and it was like, we didn't make the bed, so which is okay. And I had to make myself make the bed before I left today. Yeah. And I'm thinking, what is going on? It's such a natural thing to do is get up and make the bed. Yeah. And he's like, what? And he asked me the other day, what are you going to make the bed? And I said, you know what? I'm not making the bed. I want to sit on this bed and watch NCIS unmade. So that was like, oh.
You're losing it. He's going to have you committed.
That's right. So, and I get mad because the pots and pans are all messed up under the sink again. And, I said, what am I mad about? Who am I mad at? Because for some reason, I just started stuffing them in there instead of restacking them or whatever. This chaos is my doing. So I have to tell myself, you can bring chaos. You can bring order out of chaos. You have that talent. Yeah. You can do that. Yeah. You know how to do that. Yes.
But where it
goes. So you can do things like that. Yeah. So, look, in my old age, there's clothes piled up in the corner of the bedroom, which never happens. But that's just the way it is right now.
God, it's a miracle I'm even remotely clean.
Yeah. Kidding. Oh, my bathroom's clean.
Yep. Okay, Mom. Well, I appreciate you sharing your lessons you learned.
Well, I appreciate y'all teaching me a few things. Look how good y'all are.
So that's what we're here for. Right. Just to teach you some lessons.
That's the way I raised you.
Okay.
So learning to communicate and have conversations. I think that's another thing that I really know about y'all. You and Lydia both. It's just, y'all know how to have conversations with people and talk about meaningful things.
It's because we're forced to.
I know.
They pay me to.
So I like to think that's when you learn to do that, when I would just sit you on the end of the couch and tell you to talk it out and don't get up till you do. So I don't know how well that went. Y'all just thought, oh,
well,
we good.
It worked. Yeah. It worked. Well, Well, guys, I
Yes,
appreciate
we do.
y'all coming back week after week. I appreciate you listening to us just chit chat. And please feel free, if you've got a story to tell, please feel free to reach out to us at themotheryouknow.com. We are really in love with the stories that we're hearing from mothers and daughters, stories of redemption, stories of heartbreak, but then in the end, it turned out, Bless, we love to hear those stories. So if you have a story and are interested in telling, please feel free to reach out to us. Please feel free to subscribe to the podcast anywhere you get your podcasts. And please follow on all social medias at themotheryouknow.com. And we will see you guys next week. We have another guest next week. So in theory, we do. See if we can make it there. But if not, we'll just be back here chatting about something else. So you guys have an amazing week.